Hello. There was a little bit of a delay on my computer. I don't know what happened there. But welcome to Tag Talk. My name is Kylie. This is Haley. Um and we got a lot of things to get through today. We have a lot that happened this week.
Big week.
Uh Wrestling is wild in 2023. I don't know what to make of it.
I know.
So we're not going to like harp on the obvious elephant in the room, Vince McMahon. But we're going to talk about tag team wrestling and give everybody a little break from that disaster that is happening in wrestling. Oh, because everyone's talking Vince McMahon on every show, which they should is big news. But we're going to be a little more positive. But even if you take out Vince McMahon, we still have a lot to get through, a lot to talk about. It was a big weekend, a big week.
A big week. We stayed up together. We watched Wrestle Kingdom together.
Oh God.
My first live Wrestle Kingdom. I woke up at like 3 and I was like, man, I want to go right back to bed. And Kylie was like, nope, you're gonna stay up and you're gonna watch. And I'm so glad that I watched live.
It was a good show. It really went by really fast. I'll say that. It went by a lot faster than I expected. Like I looked at my phone and it was 5 a.m. all of a sudden. So shout out to New Japan for that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we have a super chat from Ryan.
I knew it.
Before I say his joke, I just want to say if you want your question, your comment, your statement, your dad joke read on air, submit a super chat and we'll read every single one. That being said, Ryan says, what did the baby corn say to the mama corn?
The baby corn say to the mama corn?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Where's popcorn?
Oh, I popped. Unintended. That was good. I like that.
Yeah, that was a good dad. You know, sometimes they're not that good.
Oh.
But every now and again you get a really good one and it makes up for it.
I feel like that's how all dad jokes go though, you know?
That's so true.
It's perfect.
That one was a little sad because I mean, presumably popcorn's like out of the picture, but it's okay. It's okay. So, moving on, you mentioned Wrestle Kingdom. And I think there's like two big New Japan-esque related stories coming out of this week. One is FTR, and the other is the Golden Lovers. So I'll let Haley pick which one we start with.
I think we should start with FTR.
Okay, so just like a rundown for people who maybe didn't watch Wrestle Kingdom or have been kind of out of the loop. FTR, they lost their IWGP heavyweight tag team titles at Wrestle Kingdom, which was kind of expected. Like we talked about it on here, it was expected. But it was a good match. It was a great match. But now FTR's lost all their titles. And there's like speculation, you know, Dax's podcast comes out this week. It'll probably make everything I'm about to say irrelevant. but there's been speculation. They're going to WWE. They're taking a year off, blah, blah, blah. But like just focusing on their Wrestle Kingdom match and their future in Japan, everything is really, really unclear.
Yeah, and like you said, it was definitely to be expected. I feel like that's just kind of the natural progression of FTR. It was kind of going down that path. They were losing titles everywhere. It is uncertain though. I do like FTR in Japan. I wish that we would have gotten to see more of them in Japan. And I hope that maybe sometime down the line, you know, we'll get some of that again.
I really do hope so, because in AEW we also got the Gun Club. Are they still called the Gun Club or the Gun? I don't know what they're calling the Guns.
The Guns.
They did like a funeral memorial for FTR.
FTR-IP.
which I thought was really funny. A lot of people didn't think it was funny, but I did. And they played FTR's music, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, they did it! They came straight from Japan." They didn't. It was like it was a joke, but. I guess for like in the meantime, FTR is going to be doing stuff in AEW? Question mark. Finally, we have a super chat from longtime viewer Hollow who says, after Kenny versus Ospreay and the subsequent Golden Lovers tweets, I haven't been this excited about wrestling in years. Might be a while, but I can wait forever.
Let's talk about Golden Lovers. A lot of people are saying that too. Like I feel like. With Kenny's kind of reemergence in New Japan, I mean, you know, everybody loves New Japan Kenny, and I feel like watching that match with him and Ospreay like really reignited that passion and love for wrestling and Kenny Omega. So yeah.
And I think a lot of people are saying Kenny in New Japan is different from Kenny in, AEW and in North America, and that's true. I think he wrestles a different style. But like Kenny in AEW has always been injured.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like 2018 is when his Vertigo stuff started. So like give the man a little bit of credit for having, that Iron Man with Pac and that tag with the Young Bucks and Hangman and all this stuff. But Kenny, it's like Golden Lovers, I think is happening, ? I don't really know. But also Kenny tag teaming with Okada on New Year's Dash. Who came up with that?
I don't know, but thank you. When I woke up, because I slept in, and I think you had like posted something, or like it was in the group chat that like they had teamed up, and I woke up and that's the first thing I saw, and I was like, I need to go watch this match right now. like nothing else. I'm not going pee. I'm not eating until I watch this match.
Yeah, and like New Year's Dash is always fun because, a lot of it is left up to mystery, and it's like they're really setting up new stories for the coming year and all that sort of stuff. One, I didn't expect Kenny to be on New Year's Dash. I'll be like up front. I thought, this is just like he's coming in, he's gonna wrestle Ospreay. I thought he was gonna lose to Ospreay and be done. But then he didn't lose to Ospreay, and then he's teaming with Okada and making eyes at Okada's IWGP Heavyweight title, while also still teasing the Ibushi reunion and posting pictures with Ibushi. So, like, Kenny, at least from what I see, is like now fully enmeshed in New Japan again.
And I love to see it. A lot of people are talking about, Kenny's contract that's coming up, and I don't know. We don't know anything about that. But a lot of people were like, oh, like, is he going to go to WWE? Whatever. If Kenny wasn't to stay in AEW, which I don't think that that's even in the question, I think the most logical place that he would go is back to Japan. He just looked so happy. I mean, I haven't seen him that happy in so long. It was so great. He wrestled his ass off. He gave the people what we've been hoping for and waiting for.
A little bit of a breakaway. We have another dad joke super chat from Ryan. Again, you can submit your super chats. We'll read every single one. But it's a dad joke. It says, what do you call two monkeys who share an Amazon Prime account?
What kind of dad joke is this?
I don't know. Primates.
Oh, wow. Okay, that was good. See, now he's sitting there Googling good dad jokes.
Yeah, I think he got embarrassed by me saying sometimes they're bad. And he's like, you know what? I got to get good ones. And that was, I mean, we love a pun. Why would monkeys have an Amazon Prime account? I don't know. But it is what it is. But anyway, back to what matters. Golden Lovers. And like Kenny wore the Kota Ibushi shirt
on AEW.
On AEW. And granted, that was like before Wrestle Kingdom, but it is what it is. Oh, and then this week is the final of the best of 7 in AEW, the very last one. Kenny's wrestling it after wrestling that match against Ospreay. There was a week off, but still.
But 2 matches back to back, and then immediately like taking that week off and having to wrestle in a ladder match.
And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter speculating maybe Adam Cole gets involved and like costs the Elite. Maybe he helps the Elite. Maybe, but like also maybe Ibushi's there, because Ibushi is presumably done with New Japan this month. Yep. Whenever that is, I don't know. I'm not Ibushi. I don't have his contract. But I think it's a really interesting wrinkle in like the Elite story, and also like the story of AEW that Kota Ibushi now, who was like far away, off limits, very rarely referenced, is now central to this Elite story and central to like Kenny Omega's story. Yeah. And he's, I guess, still going to have this feud with Ospreay and maybe also something with Okada. So it'll be interesting if Kota Ibushi isn't in New Japan and if there's still like bad blood there, like where this all goes.
No, I feel the same. And I do feel like we're going to see a lot of interesting stuff on AEW television this week. It's a very big episode of Dynamite. So anything is possible, and I don't think that these Ibushi teases seemingly coming out of nowhere all of a sudden are a coincidence.
No, I 100% agree. I think probably since he left New Japan, I think Kenny has kind of wanted to finish this Golden Lover story because it was left so abruptly. And Will Ospreay, of course, is a big figure in that because of the Kota Ibushi concussion injury and everything. I just don't know like when it happens. Like, and that's part of the fun, I guess, and part of the fun of, you know, following Kenny Omega and everything he does in wrestling. But I do think it was funny how happy Kenny Omega was to be Okada's partner at New Year's Dash. He was like thrilled.
No, I loved it so much. It was so wholesome. It was so great. I loved it so much.
I had a great time with New Japan. I loved Wrestle Kingdom. I loved New Year's Dash. I'm very confident where New Japan is going, which really says a lot because I haven't been confident in New Japan in years. Like the pandemic just destroyed the company for me. So I'm excited about that.
Me too. And I know we've said it before, but I'm going to keep saying it. This is the most excited that I think I can speak for both of us have been for New Japan in a while. I feel like I'm entering or re-entering my New Japan era. So like, you know.
New Japan era. Ooh.
I don't know why. I just think that like the direction that they're going is really exciting, and I can't wait to see, you know, where they take some of these storylines.
Yeah. Oh, we have a super chat from Rob. Rob says, it's a joke. Okay, what did Devon say to Bubba Ray at McDonald's?
Oh God, what?
Test the fries. And he says, keep kicking ass, ladies. Your friends at Coexisting. Coexisting is probably my favorite wrestling podcast.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Coexisting, you're missing out.
Listen, everyone go watch Coexisting. Rob and Maggie are the best. And then we have another super chat from the Pro Wrestling Podcast who just says, I got $1. Hey, you know? Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm clicking so many things right now. I went to click Ryan's, what he said in the chat, and then Collins with a super chat. Kylie and Haley fan club. Any Royal Rumble predictions, winners or new feuds?
Ooh.
The Royal Rumble's super interesting this year because it's the first Triple H booked Royal Rumble, like the match itself, which is really interesting because you would think that he would really want to make a statement with it, with who he chooses as winners and like the Iron Man spot and like all the tropes of the Royal Rumble. For me, I was Team Cody for the longest time. Cody wins the men's Rumble. And I tweeted this, and a lot of people agreed with me. I'm Team Sami Zayn now because I think Cody can win the title from anyone, and it'll be just as impactful. But I think Sami winning the Rumble, that means a lot more for Sami Zayn's career. And I think Triple H knows that. I think that's like his style of booking, what he really likes to do. For the women's Rumble, I have no idea. Zero idea.
I would love to see Naomi if she comes back. I feel like this would be the perfect, you know, place to bring her back. So I would love to see her, but otherwise I have no idea for the women.
The women's division for like a Triple H promotion, which is weird. The women's division is weak. Very, very weak. You know, they did the right thing getting the belt off of Ronda, but there's nothing really happening. So going into like WrestleMania season, I'm not really confident on the women's side, but I think it'll be really interesting if Sami wins the Royal Rumble, how that tension with Roman influences Sami Zayn's relationship with Kevin Owens. And if that, you know, they forge an alliance there of some kind, and like it going into WrestleMania, if, you know, the bloodline turns on Sami or vice versa, like how Kevin Owens factors into that. I think this story, you have a great, great opportunity to make like long time stars in Sami and Kevin Owens. And I think WWE can't pass it up.
And I think too, like adding this wrinkle, as you like to call it, with like Sami in the bloodline, I think it's been so refreshing for the story. And I think it's what it needed. So I think that having Sami win the Rumble, it makes a lot of sense. It really does. So I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah, we have super chat from Chris, who's also our adopted dad. He says, I got it. Sammy and Cody co-win like Lex and Brett and then challenge separately for the WWE and Universal belts to split them. I'm a genius.
Listen, the fact that like that's like a thing that I could see happening.
I mean, the WWE always does hokey stuff like that.
They do.
They would totally do it.
They would.
And they would just happen. We would all just have to accept it. But it's really weird because you also have The Rock sort of like still lurking around.
Yeah.
Roman versus The Rock, which is a big match, which you would want to do for WrestleMania, which I totally get. It's like a big draw, and The Rock is like the biggest actor in Hollywood, blah, blah, blah. But like, do you need the title for that? Like, and I understand WWE, basically they're booked into a corner, and Roman just has to be the champion at WrestleMania because there's no credible challengers and it's too late really to have him drop the belts. I get all that. But I would like to see them. I don't know how you would do it. Like maybe Sammy, he wins the Rumble and he can only challenge for one belt, and then Roman gets to keep one. And then you go into WrestleMania Night 2 against The Rock for that other belt. And then maybe you could continue the Bloodline story from there. But it's like,
it presents so many issues.
Well, yeah, and like at this point, like regardless of how they choose to split the titles, which I'm hoping they're still planning to split the titles, regardless of how they do it, it's like it's gonna be ridiculous and it's just gonna be stupid because that's just how it has to be at this point. Same thing with the Usos.
Oh,
oh, Haley liked that one.
We're not even gonna get into the Uso situation. I can't. Every time I think about it, I just can't.
The WWE tagged him, and that's another big disappointment for me with the Triple H regime. I guess the Triple H, whatever. Yeah. It's like tag and women's wrestling were like two of the strongest things of Black and Gold NXT, and it's like Triple H gets the main roster with all this like, you know, world-renowned talent, like these elite athletes, and he's like, we're gonna keep the Usos as double champs. Women's division, who cares? Women's tag division, who cares? And now here's Royal Rumble, and it's like nothing except for the Bloodline, basically. I will say, like, there's interesting stuff with like Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. Like, I'm really into that. I'm really into Imperium. Like, I went to SmackDown at the end of December, and I saw Imperium, and I thought they were really cool. Like, but I don't know. And we have another super chat from the Pro Wrestling Podcast who says, I'm hard at work, so I can't hear a word you guys are saying, but I hope y'all are having a super Monday. Well, I hope you go back and watch this.
Yeah.
Like, focus on your work. Yeah. Like, hello. But I am having a super Monday. My semester started. I TA on Mondays, and it's a very interesting class, a very big class, which I'm excited for, being trusted with a big class, finally. But back to wrestling. I don't know. Like, this Royal Rumble, on one hand, I'm excited because it's Triple H's first one. But on the other hand, I'm like, I haven't hated WWE with Triple H. But they're like big areas where I'm very disappointed. So maybe this is where he fixes it. I don't know.
I hope so. You know what? I'm hopeful for it. The Rumble and Mania season in general is, you know, my favorite part of wrestling. So I hope that, like, with the new year and kind of things wrapping up and new storylines starting, that he can just clean slate and, you know.
And we are going to assume that Vince McMahon is not involved in creative and will not become involved in creative. Fingers crossed for that.
He's staying away, so he better stay away.
He said he was, but he's a lying liar who lies. So true. I'm afraid about that, but we're going to pretend like he's not there. We're going to talk about wrestling like he's not there. And the WWE sale, guys, I'm going to be honest. I'm not a business person. I have stocks, but like I didn't choose, like there's advisors for that. So it's like, I don't know anything about sales. I don't know anything about Comcast. So like, if you're coming here for like business analysis of the WWE sale, we're not the girls for you.
No, and there's so many other incredible journalists and writers and things that break all of that down, and, you know, content creators. So definitely go check all of them out.
Oh, we're creative girlies. We're not business girlies.
We're not business girlies.
And you know what? I never will be. And I've accepted that. I'm not that kind of smart.
I've accepted it in this moment just now.
I've accepted it in this moment just now. I thought this was interesting. Ryan said, I think Triple H is struggling a bit, shows how hard booking major TV shows can be. It also shows how hard booking WWE can be with how they need to present their product. Yeah, and it's difficult because like Black and Gold NXT, like there were issues with it, but it was, you could see like Triple H's passion for it, and like especially the talent he pushed and like all the stories and everything. But like that's not what I'm getting from main roster Triple H. Like it's not as bad as Vince. It will never be as bad as Vince. And I think if it ever got as bad as Vince, I would just say it was Vince, who just is now in charge of creative. But going into Royal Rumble, like I'm excited about wrestling because of Wrestle Kingdom, and I think AEW is going to have a big show, and I'm like January is fun. But yeah, I do think Triple H is struggling, and maybe that's an unpopular opinion, but that's how I feel.
Well, I think too, booking like 5 hours of television versus NXT is very different, especially the Black and Gold era. It was very rugged, and like they could get away with a lot more than you can get away with on regular TV. So that's a transition too. But you know, I hope that things are kind of settling in for him, and the Rumble, like you said, will be a hard reset.
Fingers crossed. And I hope like in the next few days or so we get like more a better feeling about what's going on. But speaking about things I have no clue what's going on, AEW, which okay, let me walk you through my roller coaster of emotions with this Toni Storm thing, okay? So basically, going into AEW, I'm like 99.9% sure that Saraya's mystery partner is Mercedes. I'm like, she debuted at Wrestle Kingdom, where and then she's on the New Japan website, like she's challenging for this title. She wants to be involved with Stardom, blah blah blah. She's taking pictures with FTR, which they're friends, but also, and then so going in, I'm like, okay. And then we had the Britt Baker promo, and Britt Baker says, I don't know what she said, but she's something like, "I'm the boss of AEW," and winks, like a dramatic wink like that too. Yeah. And my southern accent came out there for a second. I don't know if you heard it. But anyway, and then the show goes on, whatever. We had a which I thought was a great women's tag with Jade and the Baddies, but I don't know where that story's going with Red Velvet, but we'll talk about that in a second. And then it's Saraya, Toni Storm, and Shida, and Renee's their interviewer. And Saraya says, like, I'm in a team with the best wrestler in the world, Toni Storm. And Renee's like, huh? And Shida's like, huh? And I was like, huh? I don't, if it's, okay, I understand AEW is, they know that people are expecting Mercedes, and stopping that now, like saying it's Toni, because they probably don't have Mercedes yet or ever. I get it. But it was like such a weird turnaround from like just an hour before, if it wasn't even an hour, with Britt Baker with the blatant Mercedes tease.
So I kind of like that, like, there's so much uncertainty and nobody has a damn idea about what's going on. Like, I kind of like that, and I miss that about wrestling, because I feel like with all of the, like, backstage reports and things and leaks, like, we hear so much about things that are going on that it's, like, not really that exciting anymore. So I like that we have absolutely no idea. But two, I feel like if Toni does get her and she does appear on TV, I don't think she wrestles. I think that the Shida kind of like heel teases, maybe she takes out Storm, and it leaves Saraya in like a handicapped situation, and Mercedes comes out and, like, you know, evens things up, but she doesn't like wrestle, you know? Because I feel like New Japan would want to save her for their match, and like having her big return match be there, especially with all those tickets moved and stuff. I think that that's kind of the route that they would want to go.
No, I definitely agree, because she is New Japan Stardom talent. Like, as far as we know, she's not signed to AEW. And there's, reports that it's a big commitment because AEW would probably want like 3 or 5 years. They want good time with her, which is fair. It's AEW. They, should do that. It's just weird to me because this is a match with Saraya, Britt Baker, and Jamie Hayter, who are undeniably the biggest stars in the division. And that's, to me, is a perfect way to have Mercedes come in with the biggest stars in the division. But if it is Toni Storm and she doesn't get taken out by Shida, I'm worried, one, about the reception of that from a live crowd who isn't anticipating Mercedes, and two, viewers at home who have been talking about Mercedes relentlessly for weeks since this got announced. And AEW did kind of like squash the hopes of Mercedes, saying it's Toni Storm, whatever. But to me, they should have done that from the beginning and said that this is Toni Storm and Saraya. And then you could have, if you're going to do an injury angle with Shida, you could have built that and then taken Toni out. And if you had Mercedes, but then if you don't have Mercedes, then you said it was Toni Storm from the beginning, and it's fine. Like, to me, it's like a weird situation. We have a super chat from Bryant, who is another one of our good friends, who says, lucky to have gotten a ticket to Battle in the Valley. Happy Mercedes was able to practically sell the place out. Chances Kyrie versus Mercedes is the main event. Always proud of you both. I think it's 100% going to be the main event. Yeah. That match, like, Mercedes herself moved tickets for New Japan in a way New Japan hasn't had since the Elite in North America, I should say. Preface that. That was crazy.
New Japan World too.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
I think that's 100% the main event. I don't think there's anything New Japan could put there that would be remotely comparable. And then you have like Tanahashi saying New Japan Strong is done. So I don't know what's going on in New Japan with their North American expansion, but if Kyrie Mercedes is their biggest match they could have at Battle in the Valley, and that needs to be the main event. I 100% agree. But back to this AEW match, I almost feel like they need to find a way, and maybe this is horrible of me because for poor Toni Storm, to find a way to, like, if they don't have Mercedes, take out Toni and make it Saraya versus Jamie. Like, make it a singles somehow. Like, I don't think this match can go on as planned if they don't have Mercedes. Like, with the energy people had about the Toni Storm announcement and like things I saw on Twitter, it's like, oof, AEW's in a bad spot with that.
I agree, and I think that would be the most comparable thing because it's still a big match, and I would hope that like people are going to be let down regardless if it's not Mercedes, but like at least like you're still getting what you pay for with a big women's match. It's going to deliver, and they were going to wrestle either way, so
Yeah, it's such a sticky situation, and there's people on Twitter. I can't remember who came up with this, but basically, Britt, like way back when, gave Saraya tickets to AEW in Los Angeles. So there's people saying maybe Mercedes is like in the crowd and she's in disguise and like is revealed at that point, and then you build a match for like Revolution maybe, which is still like 2 months away. Yeah. So even that I'm like a little iffy on, because I 100% get New Japan wanting her to wrestle there first, and I think that's fair, completely fair, and I think AEW owes New Japan that. I think they really do. It's just AEW's in such a weird spot now, because if Mercedes is in the crowd, you a reminder that all super chats go towards our quest for WWE. And Haley and I will be on the board of directors.
We are on the board,
by the way.
Yes.
So if you want that to happen, you want to save WWE from the evil clutches of Comcast, presumably. Make sure you super chat, and we'll raise billions of dollars just this way.
Exactly.
Period. But back to AEW. And not that I want to like pigeonhole Mercedes in some way, but there's also people who are still anticipating Jade and Mercedes, and Mercedes being the one to beat Jade in her 50th match, 49th match, whatever it ends up being. I don't know math, but that's interesting, because then Red Velvet, like, that story is like a red herring, and the breakup of the baddies has been weird in my opinion. because there's like no real reason why Kiera Hogan, but regardless, maybe that's what they're saving it for. Maybe they're gonna completely write her out of this Britt Baker thing, and then like at Revolution, a surprise debut against Jade.
I think that's possible too, especially if Chris Stat, she's still healing up, and a lot of people are still waiting for that title match. But if we aren't going to get that, we need a big fill-in, and I feel like Mercedes and Jade, perfect.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel bad for poor Red Velvet in that situation because I think she's been like built up to be, because there's no Chris Stat. I think she's like the logical one now to beat Jade, and they've been really building that story. But you know what? She can take that out on Mercedes because
Red Velvet versus Mercedes,
gold, absolute gold. AEW's women's division is in a really good spot, which is hilarious because if you told me that at this time last year, I would have laughed in your face.
No, literally. Yeah, if you guys know anything about Kiley and I, we've had like shows in the past, and we had a women's show together, and it kind of started because of our disdain to how the AEW women's division at the time was being run. So
listen, go back and watch. If you go back and you watch our critique of the AEW women's division video, should still be on Fightful Overbooked. A lot of the issues we had have been addressed.
They have.
They really have. Which shout out to Madison Rain for that. I'm gonna always put her over every tag talk. She's getting put over because I love her.
Period. We love Madison Rain here.
We really do. And sticking with AEW, so I don't know, was the match announced? Yeah, it was. Hook and Jungle Boy.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Can I just
say, night only.
One night only. Listen, I love this. And maybe I'm like being childish about it, like with my love for it. But something about Jungle Boy and Hook is like incredible to me.
I love it so much. It's such a spectacle, right?
It really
is. Expect it to be, but it is.
It's so weird because like Jungle Boy and Hook are two completely different characters, and they wrestle completely differently, and their careers have been completely different. And like they're wrestling like Big Bill, but we're gonna ignore that. And it's like Jungle Hook. Like I don't want this to be one night only.
I know. Look, we were deprived of Hookhausen. Okay, like that. We got teases for that, and nothing ever came of that. So I feel like Jungle Hook, you have to deliver on Jungle Hook, and it can't be one night only. They have a shirt on Shop AEW. Just keep it going. Put out all the merch. It's going to become a bestseller. Like they're going to be the best tag team in the division. Just keep it going. Full stop.
Yeah, maybe like they wrestle the match and they just really feel the chemistry, and they're like, you know what? Let's keep it going. Like we have something here.
I would love that so much. I love Jungle Boy so much. Like just sitting here and like giggling, like they just make me so happy for no reason. I love the idea of them as a team.
Yeah, and like the Gun Club is doing this thing with FTR where they're being annoying, and it is what it is. But imagine the Gun Club against Jungle Hook. Like imagine how good Jungle Hook would look in that with these annoying idiots.
And there's so many like matchups and opportunities that like we wouldn't get. Yeah. Like FTR versus Jungle Hook, the Young Bucks, Private Party. There's so many options. 2.0.
Maria says, what are your thoughts on the potential breakup of the best friends? It looks like there's friction. This is okay. I have been anticipating best friends issues since Danhausen was introduced, and Danhausen started doing like the evil thing with the teeth, which like AEW hasn't done a whole lot with since then, which is weird, but it is whatever. I think if the best friends do break up, I think they come back together. I don't think AEW breaks up the best friends permanently. I think there's more value in the best friends than there is in Trent as a singles, Chuck as a singles, Orange Cassidy as a singles, and Danhausen. So I think even if they break up, I think it'll be a heart-wrenching story of them coming back together, being the best friends, like friendship over everything, cheesy, Hallmark, roses stuff.
Yeah, kind of similar to what we've talked about with like Dark Order needing to do, which that's a whole other thing with like BTE and stuff. And that. The Rick Ross thing, I whatever. Anyway.
Oh, sorry, did I cut you off?
No.
Oh, but back to Jungle Hook, just because I had some more thoughts on that. It'll be interesting, and like the fact that they're billing it as one night only makes me feel like it's not one night only, that something's going to happen. Maybe Christian and Luchasaurus get involved again, and like Hook has to help Jungle Boy, and he's like Jungle Boy's only friend. Maybe something like that.
So sad.
Jungle Boy, listen. Everyone turns on Jungle Boy.
I know.
And what is he doing that's making this happen?
Absolutely nothing.
Oh, you don't think he's shady at all?
No, I don't.
Wow.
I think Jungle Boy could do no wrong.
Wow, that's a statement.
I think that Hook is a great judge of character, so if Hook is Team Jungle Boy, then I'm Team Jungle Boy.
Hook and tag team with Danhausen, who is, kayfabe evil.
And you're saying this to a Danhausen fan.
I'm a Danhausen fan. I like Danhausen, but I think Hook is in for a big year.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's, oh my goodness, if it's bigger for him to be like a singles Hook or in Jungle Hook. Or even Hookhausen. I think Hookhausen has life in it still. I just love Hook, I guess. Maybe that's like the theme here. Everything Hook does, I love.
We're hookers.
We're hookers. For life, always. Oh, that is
anyway.
And I'm not even going to talk. I guess we kind of have to talk about Jeff Jarrett for a second.
Do we?
The Acclaimed, I love the Acclaimed. I think they're doing great. I think I put this on Twitter. They're selling as much merch as Mercedes on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yeah.
So they're doing great. But this Jeff Jarrett thing, I didn't hate the match. I hate that they're the Jeff Jarrett Alliance. What's their faction called?
I don't even know.
Do they have a name?
Friends. I don't know.
Everyone calls them TNA, so I'm gonna call them TNA. I hate that they're still a thing.
I know. I thought that like Jeff Jarrett was gonna come in and it was gonna be like a one-off match, and then he was gonna do like his like backstage role, and that was gonna be that. But that didn't happen, and now here we are.
A super chat from Chris, who was our adopted dad, who says this is so you don't talk about Jeff Jarrett.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We're not going to talk about Jeff Jarrett anymore. Hold on, do you have anything you wanted to talk about?
No.
Oh my god. Did we hit all? We've only been live for 38 minutes, Haley.
I feel like there's more to our list. I made a list of things that we wanted to talk about, and I think there's got to be something we're missing. Let's see.
You want to talk about Hard to Kill? Oh, we have a super super chat from Pavlo says, I jokingly wrote, get ready for new champs Jarrett and Lethal on your last stream. So for a few secs on Wednesday, I was like, no, I manifested it. Damn you, Tag Talk. Listen, if they had won, if Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal had won and beat the Acclaims, I would have came here and I would have blamed you.
We would have done an emergency Tag Talk episode.
Emergency.
Yes.
Right as it happened, going head to head with AEW Dynamite. Listen, when it happens, like Aubrey hadn't come out yet, and I had typed up a tweet that was basically like, this is the worst thing to ever happen to me. I was that like upset. I was really upset because I was like, there's no way.
They really swerved us.
And that's such a TNA thing to do, to have Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal beat the Acclaimed. And I was like, there's no way this man is bringing TNA into my AEW. But it was fun because Aubrey saved us.
I got scared. I was like, there's no way.
Listen, my heart dropped. It was the worst thing. And I guess that's the point, that you're supposed to be afraid. But at least Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal are like self-aware enough to know that we hate them.
Oh yeah.
At least we have that. King of the North says, those 2 tag title matches were awesome. We all need to apologize to Jeff Jarrett.
Absolutely.
No, listen.
What do we have?
I have had beef with Jeff Jarrett since I was like 6 years old.
Period.
Okay? Period. So I am not going to apologize for being mean to Jeff Jarrett. It's just not going to happen. End of.
Period.
So did you want to end with Hard to Kill?
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah.
Okay. Well, take it away, I guess.
So Hard to Kill is this weekend. And we did want to talk about it. Because I think that there's some interesting stuff on this card outside of, the Josh Alexander and Billy Ray match and the false count match, and the knockout.
The knockout world title match is really interesting, or the number 1 contenders match.
I'm excited for it. I can't lie. Yeah. I think that Masha is kind of being not bred, but for lack of a better term, like, and not groomed either, but like she's like
being built up
for Impact. Yeah. So I'm super excited for her and Taylor Wilde too. I was super excited to see her in this match.
Yeah. So for people, maybe we don't have a lot of Impact fans in the chat, but it's a number 1 contendership for the Knockouts World Title. It's Deonna Purrazzo versus Killer Kelly versus Masha Slamovich versus Taylor Wilde, which is going to be absolutely incredible. But there is like a tag. What are they billing it as? Tag team elimination for the Impact World Tag Titles, which I am the most excited for. So, let me pull it up to make sure I have the right players. Bleacher Report. Period. Let's go.
We love Bleacher Report.
Shout out to Bleacher Report. No, this is not the right year, Bleacher Report. PW Torch instead. Okay. Here's the card. Okay, yes, it's Motor City Machine Guns versus Heath and Rhino, which I didn't know was still a thing until I started watching Impact again. Well, I took a break from Impact, but versus Major Players versus Bullet Club. Can I just say, I don't think Impact could have done a better tag team match than this one. Or they could have booked a better one, I should say.
The Impact tag division is really great right now. And these are some of their strongest teams that they have, maybe outside of like 1 or 2 others. So I think it's going to be really great. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's definitely shining. Well, it's shining, one, because they get the Bullet Club from New Japan because they have that relationship, which has been really good for Impact and also for New Japan Strong, like having those talent. And 2, because Impact is really weak in my opinion, in other areas. Like the digital media championship, like all of that, I think has been weak. Bully Ray is here for some reason. I don't know why he's there, but it's okay. The X division has been good, but I have some issues with it, but I don't want to get into that because I want to hype up Impact because I want all of you to watch Hard to Kill. And the Knockouts championship versus Mickie James' career. It's Jordynne Grace versus Mickie James. That has been wild to me. And to think that Jordynne Grace, who we've watched become like the star in Impact, to think that she could be the one to retire Mickie James. I'm excited about that. I really am.
Genuinely. I don't know if we're going to see it, but
I don't know if we will either, but like the fact that she's in that role like, I'm so excited about that for Jordynne Grace because I've always felt like Jordynne Grace has been underrated.
Mhm.
And I think up until, like, I would say last year, she was kind of, like, in the shadow of a woman who will not be named who was from Impact and now is gone from the world. And the shadow of her husband, Jonathan Gresham. So I'd like to see her come into her own, and now she really has done a great job. And she's learned a lot, and she's gotten a lot better as a wrestler, as a character, all that stuff. Um, and so I'm really happy to see her in the spot, and I'm really glad that Impact trusts her because Mickey James's retirement match, maybe that's like a big deal. Like that's a big deal for women's wrestling. So I'm excited about it.
I'm also excited for the Death Dolls versus Tasha Steelz, Giselle, and Savannah.
Yes.
I think it's gonna be good. I think that the Death Dolls are gonna come out victorious here. But it is interesting seeing the teases of the breakup between Tasha and Savannah.
Yeah, and it's Impact. I have my gripes with it, and like a lot of people have their gripes with it. But one thing they do really, really well is building tag teams and breaking them apart in like meaningful ways. Not just with the Knockouts tag division, the men too. And I guess what I'm trying to say is watch Hard to Kill. This is a really great card, and maybe I should just like run down some of it. So, like we mentioned, Josh Alexander versus Billy Ray, which is what it is. That's not what you're coming here for. Jordynne Grace versus Mickey James, gold. The tag team match I mentioned, Trey Miguel versus Black Taurus for the X Division title. Jonathan Gresham versus Eddie Edwards, with Jonathan Gresham being an Impact is a big deal. Yeah. The number one contenders match, Gianna, Masha, Taylor, and Killer Kelly. Joe Hendry versus Moose, which is not what you're coming here for, but that's fine. So like overall, it's a really, really great card. And I think Impact in New Japan, not to like bring everything back to New Japan and AEW, but I think Impact and New Japan having that relationship, I hope in the future that translates like phases us back into Impact and AEW having a relationship, because I think it would be really interesting to see like AEW's blossoming women's tag scene going into Impact. Like, ROH is there, but it's just there. But like sharing talent in that way, I'm like, I see these like the Knockouts division, singles tag, whatever, and I'm like, I would love to see Jordynne Grace wrestle Jade. And I would love to see Masha versus Britt Baker or versus like Layla Hirsch or like all these things. And like, we're not getting it. And I really, 2023, we need to unite against the evil that is WWE.
Period. And I saw a lot of people mentioning online the like all elite women reality type show thing that they're filming, but people wanting to turn that into like a women's wrestling show.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a market for it, then I would love to see that down the line. I think that would be cool. Or like an all women's pay-per-view, I think that would be sick. But bringing in talent from Japan and Impact and stuff like that, and doing like a Forbidden Door for women's wrestling, could you imagine?
It'd be so good. And like Mercedes and Kyrie, granted that's like a very special occasion, but they've proven that women's wrestling draws in America. And I think interest in like Forbidden Door stuff has never been higher. I think coming out of Wrestle Kingdom, people are like, this could be really, really fun. Especially because Omega Ospreay had an all-time classic. FTR had a great match. Carl Anderson was there. And then Mercedes. And so I think moving forward, maybe that's like my bold prediction for 2023. More women's Forbidden Door stuff. I think Stardom and New Japan, I guess Bushiroad, like moving into North America and the West. I think women being at the forefront of that is fantastic. I'm so stoked to see it. And I would like to see AEW and Impact get their fingers on some Stardom talent and really do some fun stuff. And I don't know if we're getting a Forbidden Door pay-per-view to AEW New Japan. I have no idea.
Listen, but if we do, we're going to be their front row, Kylie.
So true.
We're throwing every single dollar we have. Forbidden
Door. But like, I think it's really cool because Kenny Omega's back, and he's since AEW started been a supporter of Joshi, and bringing in like the best women's wrestlers, Joshi talent from Japan. And I also think it's interesting that we haven't really. I mean, I think they're still building like a women's blood and guts in AEW, but I think it'd be fun if we did Forbidden Door blood and guts with the women. And you could do Stardom versus AEW. You could do anything with it, but it would be a lot of fun. And so I'm excited about that.
Now I want to campaign for that because that would be really interesting.
We have a super chat from Kyle from Elite POV. Love Elite POV. Check them out. Just says hi, friends. Well, hi, Kyle. You missed all of our FTR talk. We talked FTR.
We did at the beginning of the episode.
And Golden Lovers and Mercedes, and we're like wrapping up. But thank you for being here. Elite POV. Everyone from Elite POV is great. You guys should check them out. But yeah, and this kind of like sums it up. TJ versus Ruby and Willow street fight. Like AEW has a women's tag division. Yeah. And I don't know if they need women's tag titles. I don't know if they want them. I mean, I would want them, but it is what it is. But it's like, in terms of Forbidden Door things, like it feels closer than ever that we're going to get an AEW Stardom bridge. And any TJ versus Ruby Willow street fight, yeah. TJ versus anyone in Stardom, give it to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm being naive in that. But like I think Shida being as successful as she is in AEW, and Riho and Yuka and like all these Joshi talent like Maki Ito coming into AEW and being successful. Listen, AEW, knock, knock, knock. Hello.
Like capitalize on it. What are you doing?
I don't know what they're doing. And like I feel like the women kind of get buried under the men's division because CM Punk's coming back, maybe. And I don't know, Adam Cole's coming back, maybe. But like the women are right there and they're doing great stuff. Kyle says, also, Kylie, love the shirt. Fire me up. I'm wearing my Elite shirt. I got it for Christmas. I think it's really cute. But yeah, I think the AEW women's division has come a long way, like training wise, in ring, all that sort of stuff. So I'm hoping something comes of this Mercedes, Toni, Saraya, Britt Baker tag situation where we get something productive out of it that isn't just, we thought we would get Mercedes and we didn't get Mercedes, or we did, but she's not wrestling for 2 months. Whatever it ends up being, I hope we get something out of it. Like women's blood and guts lore. That's what I want.
Are those your closing thoughts?
Those are my closing thoughts.
My closing thoughts, man. I don't know. I think my brain is so empty after this week of wrestling. There's just been so much to ingest, I guess. But man, I'm just excited for the direction of tag team wrestling. I think that it's really positive right now, and we love to see that. So
yeah, I think Wrestle Kingdom like really raised the morale of Tag Talk a lot.
We really did, because we were kind of getting a little like
well, it's because like we're so like disenfranchised with WWE, and Impact was good, but it was like there's a lot of stuff on Impact I don't like, and AEW like had a bad end to 2022 with like December was good, but you know what I mean. But like what Wrestle Kingdom and AEW like doing the Lord's work for tag team wrestling.
You know what? They really are. Shout out to New Japan.
Shout out to New Japan. Do you want to do your plugs?
Yeah. Okay. You guys can follow me on Twitter at HaleyAnn_. I'm a writer and editor for Nerds and Beyond. I do like nerdy and wrestling stuff over there, so you can check that out if you would like. I have a Whoa. I heard myself on your end. That was crazy. I have a Substack. You guys can subscribe to. It's free. It's called The Wrestling Muse. We also are really trying very hard to get back into romanticized wrestling. We say it all the time, and we should stop making promises. But
listen. Let's pinky promise we'll film something this week.
Listen, maybe, you know what? I'm gonna put it out there. We're gonna film something on the Golden Lovers.
Okay, this week.
Okay.
We'll get it done.
With me. But yeah. Oh, also, if you guys would like to hear more of me, I was on LGBT in the Ring podcast with Brian. And we just kind of talked about my start in journalism and how I got my start in wrestling and how I fell in love with wrestling and being queer in wrestling media. So if you guys would like to check that out, you can. It's linked on my Twitter. And those are my plugs.
Here's the big plug. Okay.
Here we go.
Follow me on Twitter at @Fuller_Kiley. I post everything I'm doing there. Also follow at Romantic Wrestle on Twitter. That is Romanticized Wrestling. You will see updates of our Golden Lovers episode on Romanticized Wrestling Twitter. We're going to do it now because we have to.
After this, I'm going to make the thumbnail. We have to.
Period. Also subscribe to Fightful Overbooked. If you're watching this after we go live, hello. Please leave a comment below. Let us know what you think about anything we talked about or anything we didn't talk about. Maybe you felt like we missed something. Let us know. It was a big week in wrestling. There was a lot to cover. And like this video and interact with us. Do all the things. Go watch other shows on Fightful Overbooked. We talked about Coexisting, and Coexisting also has Coexisting After Dark on Select, Fightful Select. Go check that out. There's a bunch of other great shows. Tim and Joel, they did a show. If you want to learn about Vince McMahon, go watch that. Lots of great things happening on Fightful Overbooked. So make sure you subscribe to be a part of that. Tag Talk is live every Monday at 3 p.m. right here. You know where to find us because you're here. We have a lot of good ideas for this little show that we have, and I would like you guys to be a part of it. We didn't really talk about, my sister's FaceTiming me, so I'll wrap it up. We didn't really talk about Vince McMahon, but that's fine. We're not business girlies. But we'll see you guys next week.